Hi, it's Grandpa Ricky, starting a video series. I hope I finish it this time. And I'm going to try to read this book. It's not available on audio, and maybe you might enjoy it. It's called No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering. And it's by a Buddhist monk by the name of Thich Thichnhaanh. And this is what's called the rubric. It's the little words at the front of the book. And he says, most people are afraid of suffering, but suffering is a kind of mud to help the lotus flower of happiness grow. There can be no lotus flower without the mud. Pretty nice, eh? So, here's The Art of Suffering by Thich and there's a video about who he is around somewhere. And I'm sitting in the edge of a homeless community right now. So here we go. We all want to be happy, and there are many books and teachers in the world that try to help people be happier. Yet we all continue to suffer. Therefore, we may think that we're doing it wrong. Somehow we are failing at happiness. But that isn't true. Being able to enjoy happiness doesn't require that we have a zero suffering. In fact, the art of happiness is also the art of suffering as well. God, I added some words, but I think they fit. When we learn to acknowledge, embrace, and understand our suffering, we suffer much less. Not only that, but we're also able to go further and transform our suffering into understanding, compassion, and joy for ourselves and all others. Something just slid off the table here. One of the most difficult things for us to accept is that there is no realm where there's only happiness and there's no suffering. This doesn't mean that we should despair. Despair is pretty easy to slide into, isn't it? Suffering can be transformed. As soon as we open our mouth to say suffering, we know that the opposite of suffering is already there as well. That's a big one. Where there is suffering, there is happiness. According to the creation story in the biblical book of Genesis, the Christian biblical book of Genesis, God said, "Let there be light." I like to imagine that light replied, saying, "God, I have to wait for my twin brother, darkness, to be with me. I can't be there without darkness." And God answered, "Why do you need to wait? Darkness is there." And light answered, "In that case, then I am also ready to be there. I'm also already there. If we focus exclusively on pursuing happiness, we may regard suffering as something to be ignored or resisted. We think of it as something that gets in the way of happiness. But the art of suffering is also, and at the same time, the art of knowing how to suffer well. That's an interesting idea, eh? If we know how to use our suffering, we can transform it and suffer much less. Knowing how to suffer well is essential to realizing true happiness. And this book has really helped me so much. I've been suffering all my life and trying to pretend that the stuff that happened to me didn't cause me suffering. And also that I have caused a lot of suffering. And then I'm suffering because I caused a lot of suffering. You know. So I hope that you can share what has helped you, because we all need to use what has helped each other. So thank you very much for being here.